What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Golf Bag live stream. I am Red Kachik, joined as always by JK Ray ASU, and he is full size right now. Let's see if we can keep him at that size for the duration of the show. Yeah, how you doing, Jacob? You gonna stay this size the whole time?
Hoping to. I reset the old internet box, and
The old hard reset, 30 seconds, and you're back at it.
there you go. We'll see how it turns out. Might be good, might be bad.
I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. Looks like we got a decent crowd building already. I see Papa Wolf in there, Buck T, Augusta, Nick Varone, always lurking around. Let's go ahead and hit on some agenda real quick, and then we'll jump right into some thoughts on this player field. I like it a little bit. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign, but let's touch on some agenda for a second.
All right.
All right, guys. You're probably all accustomed to this already, but I'll go through this spiel for anyone new. But yeah, Q&A will be sprinkled throughout the show, so if you have any questions, we'll try to do our best to stay on top of the chat, answer those as they come in. And we'll start off right off the bat with a podcast review, touching on some of our thoughts from Monday night's show, some FGB line movement, some players we may have changed our tune on, higher or lower. Going into weather, we'll touch on that a little bit. Not a lot to touch on, but we'll bring it up for sure. And then always finishing off with some projected ownership, talk about some pivots, some guys maybe we don't want to eat the chalk on. And of course, we have giveaways. We might sprinkle one out throughout the show. Got some new swag in, so we might have to give out a new polo or something. So, you ready for this show, Jacob?
Let's do it. Let's jump in it.
All right, man. Well, let me hit on a couple guys that I was... I wouldn't say I changed my tune on, but I definitely have gone a different direction since Monday night's show. Kind of digging into this field, there's a couple stats, and I had some good conversations with guys on Twitter, guys in our Slack chat, about some key stats that don't seem obvious when you look at this type of golf course, right? You look at this type of golf course and you think it's tough. You want guys avoiding bogeys. You want them very accurate off the tee. And when we started looking at more lead-in form for this event, we started noticing guys that were trending up making birdies. Bogey avoidance wasn't bad, but it was more correlated to birdie or better coming in here. Off the tee and driving distance were huge corollaries. That was pretty interesting. And then the last one, obviously, was strokes gained approach, always the same. And then I actually dug up some green regulation and fringe and regulation stats. I found that to be somewhat interesting for this event, at least last year. And I didn't have time to look that up at 2017 or 2016. But yeah, for the stats, I started looking more into guys that necessarily aren't the straightest off the tee, quote unquote, right? Guys a little bit longer, or they tend to be a little bit longer, might make more birdies. And especially with the wind being down, I'm thinking that might be a decent strategy. And even if the wind was up, I wouldn't be too concerned with that kind of mentality going forward. So a couple guys in the low range. Nick Taylor is a guy that kind of popped up Tuesday, and I looked at him more today. He's interesting for sure. He's actually been playing really consistent. So if you guys are like searching for some lower priced guys, these are kind of the people I'm picking out for my pool. Nick Taylor was one I added. Adam Schenk was another one that I added. And then at the low end, I'm trying to stay true to my word for Monday night, but Johnson Wagner and Roberto Diaz, which I didn't actually say on the podcast, and that's my bad. I know a lot of y'all were banging down the door trying to figure out who that was. So Roberto Diaz was the $6,200 guy that I forgot to say his actual name on the podcast. So those are two guys down low, along with Adam Schenk and Nick Taylor, that kind of popped up on my radar late Tuesday, and then today I kind of followed through with it. So on the low end, we'll start there. We'll work our way back up to the top. Any guys that maybe you were interested in or not interested in now, or vice versa?
Yeah, there were just a couple, not super low, but definitely 6K. I know I had interest in Watney at 69, I believe, and still have that interest. Just, you know, he's got four appearances here in the past 5, all made cuts, with the worst being a 41st. I mean, at that price, certainly, I think we were talking about it earlier in regard to Stuart Sink as well, who I don't mind. But, you know, at that price, you want a guy that can make the cut. And, you know, if their upside is 24th potentially even better, maybe top 15, then you're really getting a lot of value for that type of player. But there was another guy in the same range. I think Johnny Vegas at 6,800.
Yeah.
Was somebody that he jumped out to me earlier, but I always hesitate to play Johnny Vegas. He only pops on like two courses a year, maybe.
Yeah.
And good luck figuring out which one those are going to be.
Yeah, he's not a bad GBP play. There's a couple courses he plays really well at, like RBC Canada. I think he plays really well, and he always ends up near the lead after Thursday and or Friday at the Byron Nelson, I think, in Texas. So
yeah,
why I remember that I have no clue. I probably played him those weeks and I was most interested, but yeah, he's definitely fine in GBPs. I really don't mind it. I think he can play this golf course well. It's just putting for him. It's putting for a lot of guys, but don't want to kind of beat a dead horse there. But yeah, I think Jonathan Vegas is fine in GBPs for sure. He's on my list.
Yeah, he's got some interesting form and course history, whereas normally it would be easier for you to turn off of that. A guy like him, he had a 10th at Phoenix, then miscut last event out in Riviera.
I mean, none of these guys are going to look good either. So I mean,
yeah,
you're just trying to weigh the pros and cons of each one, and maybe trying to catch a trending up player. Whether like my thing on the podcast Monday was guys that played decent at the Puerto Rico Open and didn't like putt lights out.
Mm-hmm.
Those are guys that I'm trying to eyeball, and a couple of those fell into that category with Roberto Diaz and Johnson Wagner. But yeah, none of these are going to be like, wow, they've finished, top 25 in 5 out of 6 events or something. So there's definitely warts on all of them.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about him especially is he's shown some considerable upside in the past few years. 2 years ago, he had a T4.
Yep.
And then a few years before that, a T12. So,
and you like to see the upside.
Exactly. So that T4, I looked a little bit further and then saw the 12 and thought, well, maybe he's knows this course a little bit, and then he's shown some flashes within the past month also. So that combination of the two was really what sort of said, he might not be a bad play, and maybe you're putting 20 or so in the mini max or something, just getting some GPP player pools going. I think he's a good option.
I'm just trying to look through the chat before we kind of get through the higher range guys and talk about some weather. I saw someone mention Andrew Landry. I didn't really look at Andrew Landry. He's interesting on this golf course. He finished second back in 2014, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Missed cut last year. Obviously really windy. Ricky Fowler missed a cut last year. But he wasn't actually on my radar. What's he even priced at?
Landry? I don't even know.
6,400. Oh boy.
Oh, he's right there on the screen. Yeah. Don't do it, Bloodbath.
Wow. $6,400 Landry. That's interesting. You probably wouldn't make my main team for sure, but in 10 GVPs, that might be worth a shot. Mix him with a 6,200 Roberto Diaz, and then get like 3 guys over 9K and get one other low guy. That might not be a bad GPP lineup there.
Since we're in this range right here, let me poll you on Beauregard, because I mean, he's the 51st ranked player in the world, and he was all out of sorts last week, but that was a little out of character for him, for his form coming in.
Yeah, he's on the list for GPPs, so I put him down as GPP in deep GPP fields. I'm not sold on him. He's obviously a really good player. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but on this golf course, I don't know enough about him to have made a decision. I'm sure I could have dug a little deeper on him, but I just had other pivots and I felt good about. I didn't look at him too much. I did see another one in the chat. Kyung
Hoon Lee.
Yeah, K Lee. I heard him a couple times. I don't know if it's a joke, but I don't think he looked very good.
He went through a spurt at Riviera where he was playing. It might have been just for a period of time during round 1 or 2. I don't think he made the cut though, did he?
I'm looking at him now. I think people see his last 2 finishes. So Genesis, he gained a bunch of strokes on approach, which looks really good. Finished 25th, and then he finished 35th last week at the Puerto Rico Open. Yeah, not bad. I don't really have a thought on him though. So I don't know if Nick's in the chat. He usually digs up those cheaper guys. He finished 8th back 4 years ago, so he's definitely worth a GPP shot. He looks like he's hitting his irons better. So
Nick's just up there dropping Beauregard.
What he said on Beauregard.
He hit almost 70% of green in regulation last week, but averaged 32 putts.
Yeah. And Luke Burgess, I did tweet about Furyk, and he's 10 under on hole 9. And he might have been finishing his 18th hole as hole 9 for that Pro-Am, but mainly tweeting it out because he won. I think he won or finished second in the Genesis Pro-Am. So I thought it was funny that this guy's just slaying Pro-Ams this year, and I'm actually not playing him on this golf course. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate the thoughts there. Okay, let's we got off topic with getting into the chat real fast, but that's okay. What we do before we get up top, let's go ahead and touch on the weather real quick, and then we'll jump back into some plays. So I don't know if you want to hit on that.
Yeah, so the weather looks surprisingly tame. I know that's been pretty much the forecast from Monday even, but to see it stay that way and to play out a little bit as such is interesting. I know a lot of people really aren't sure what to expect because I think we've come to get used to windswept editions, and I've seen projections about the winning score being still where they were, maybe not 8 or 9 under, to all the way up to 13 or 14 under, and certainly, that might be the case. But we're looking at pretty steady winds in the 3 to 5 range for most of Thursday and Friday. There's a period there Friday afternoon. It's actually interesting if you look at the 2 forecasts everybody sees here are essentially what Windfinder calls super forecasts, and occasionally they'll differ from the sneak peek, which is just every 4 hours. And if you look at the small glimpse every 4 hours, it shows a spike on Friday afternoon up to, I think, 10 or 12 miles per hour. But once you click into this, it goes away and shows no change. We've also adjusted it a little bit to just show Thursday and Friday. I think we kind of agreed that, if there's any advantage in wave stacking, then looking at these two a little bit more in depth is all we can do. We can't count for Saturday and Sunday. We can certainly do that in Slack or when we prep for showdown rounds. But so some of you might be wondering why we're just showing Thursday and Friday. That should answer that one. But again, just to recap, weather looks fantastic. I wouldn't really give any edge to either stack. If I think it's so variable, the possibility of some wind picking up Friday afternoon. Most places are showing it pretty calm all through both days.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I saw. All right, let's move back into the mid-range. There's a couple guys, and I'm sure people are interested in the ownerships on like Michael Thompson, and I actually talked to Andrew from Fanshare a bit ago, so he had some interesting tidbits on Michael Thompson. But yeah, in the top range is going to be pretty interesting where people go. But in the mid-range, before we kind of get past that, there's 2 guys that I'm pretty much going to fall on my sword this week, whether they play good or bad. Well, I guess I would fall on my sword if they played bad, and I'd wave my sword around if they played good. Graham McDowell, obviously, I think a lot of people are on. But Joaquin Niemann's, I guess 7,600, people may think it's a little expensive, but I can picture him playing really well in this golf course. This is the kind of track where, again, you want a guy that's a little bit longer off the tee, or at least from my research, off the tee, stroke skin off the tee, and driving distance was heavily correlated with a good finish here. But Joaquin Niemann has been playing okay tee to green, but putting atrocious. And coming back to Bermuda, which is arguably a fairer surface to putt on,
yeah,
I like him quite a bit. And it doesn't seem like people have talked about him at all. And like 2 months ago, people, were lock butting him into 150 lineups at 7,600. So I just feel like this is a good week to grab a little bit of Joaquin Niemann, 7,600. And I'm not even calling him off a pivot off Graham McDowell or anyone in that range. I just like him at that price in this golf course. So anyone else in the mid range, I know there's plenty to choose from in the 7K, but that was one that I continue to listen to some shows and never heard Joaquin Niemann. I think some people laughed when they brought it up, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So I know I mentioned this guy on the podcast, but Sabatini there at 7K even.
Yeah.
Still, I think is a pretty solid play. I know we were talking about course history in terms of more sustained viability, which I think he's shown over his outings. Just pulling it up real quick, 17th last year. He's won the event way back in 2011. Really within the 4 years, he sort of peaked, had a T11 in 2015. Not great form coming in, but his last miscut at Pebble was about 2 strokes. So we know if he can get the putter rolling, he certainly can do well. And I think Sabatini at an even 7,000 is not a bad play. I wrote this guy up, and you probably rolled your eyes at it, but Martin Keimer at 7,100 is intriguing to me.
Okay, tell me why.
Well, I was looking at some of his performances over on the Euro earlier in the month of January. He had a 26th, I believe, and a 22nd or 24th in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, respectively.
Yeah.
And he missed the cut, I think, by a stroke or two at Phoenix, and made the cut at Genesis, just putted terribly. He did withdraw last year because of a wrist injury, and we know that injury sort of sidelined him for some events and really affected his play. But prior to that, the year before, he did finish 4th. So
yeah,
I think intriguing is a good word for it. He's certainly nowhere near, I think, the caliber player that we remember him being. Former world number 1 and 2 majors. But in those 2 events, small sample size, but in those 2 events overseas, his green and regulation number looks really, really strong. Approach is really strong.
Yeah.
I think you certainly could do worse.
Yeah, we can look at his ownership too. He's probably going to be down there.
Yeah, I would imagine he would be really, really low owned. I will note that in pretty much all of his, at least U.S. ventures so far, which is Genesis and Phoenix, he's lost strokes putting.
Yeah.
Gain
strokes elsewhere?
Yeah, gain strokes off the tee, gain strokes on approach.
That's good.
So just certainly a name worth considering. I think in that
he's probably a class above a lot of these guys too. I mean, granted he hasn't shown that lately or like the last couple of years, but I mean we know what he could do.
Oh yeah.
4, 5, 6 years ago. Yeah, that's a good one there. The other one down here, which I'm not really gonna talk about, but I want to throw it out there in case it makes Nick in the chat a little antsy. And I don't know if he's a good play. Honestly, I was looking at him earlier, and I can't see a correlation with this golf course and him. But Sung Kang was looking great tee to green like 2 weeks ago at the AT&T, or 3 weeks ago, going into the Genesis. He was leading after the first round, or up there near the lead after the first round. And he's at 7K. I was a little bit interested in him, but it looks like he kind of fell off the wagon on that last event he played in. But so let's move up top real quick, and then we'll touch on some ownerships and kind of get that going. So I have not finalized my single cash lineup. I'm only going to do one cash lineup this week. And but as of now, I am not going to touch anybody in the 8K. So if anyone has a strong inkling for 8K guys, I don't know if I have any head-to-heads left, but you go find one, because I'll either, do well if they all play poorly, or, if these guys crush it, then I'm screwed. So any last-minute love, I guess, in the 8K range, or we can just hop up to the 9-10K, because I got some thoughts.
Yeah, I like Scott Piercy. I wrote him up. His approach game has just been through the roof lately, and if anyone's following on Twitter, he apparently does like Bermuda.
Now, I will say this. That was another thing I retweeted, but it was more because it was funny. The guys, which statistically speaking, it was probably accurate, but it's funny when a pro is like, look, dude, I won in the New Orleans area on Bermuda.
Wasn't that a team event, though?
Yeah, I think it was a team event. So that's what I was going to say is technically, Billy Ho is a better putter on Bermuda than Scott Piercy, and he probably carried the team. But again, it was a team event, and he did win, technically. But that was pretty funny. I'm torn on Piercy. I can move up, but Piercy I'm kind of stuck on. He seems like we can look at where the ownership's at. If he's going to be low, then I don't mind playing him. But all the chatter I've heard about him, he's got to be over 14 or 15%. So we can check it out here in a minute. Yeah, give me all the Billy Ho. I like Billy Ho. I just wish I could fit him with, Gary Woodland and Adam Scott.
I don't think you can do that unless you throw in old Jakobsen.
You could. All right, so we'll touch on the top tier real fast, and I don't have a ton of change in my sentiments on JT. I just don't want to pay 11.9 for a guy that's had 2 missed cuts at this golf course. We all know what kind of debacles can happen. And I mean, he's played really well. I mean, there's no denying that. But I just feel like at 11.9, pivoting down allows a little bit more with the salary relief. Just Adam Scott, $1,600 is. I mean, you just think about if you landed on a $6,600 guy, all of a sudden now you're at 8,200.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty big pivot. JT down to Adam Scott. I don't know who you're talking about. 6,800. Kyung-Hoon Lee up to Scott Piercy. And Scott Piercy could still finish like a $6,800 guy, but the pivot.
Or he could finish top 5.
He could. So could Kyung-Hoon Lee. Nick Ferrone. I don't know if y'all could hear that. It still probably isn't working as far as the text-to-speech thing, but Nick Ferrone donated $5, Jacob, and he says he's correcting you because you gave us a bad stat.
Oh.
He says, correction on Keimer, he's only won 1.5 majors. The other half belongs to DJ at Whistling Straits. Gave it to him. You got to give people accurate information, man.
I'm sorry. That was very, very subpar of me.
And I see guys already kind of bearing the lead here with Mr. Woody in the chat, and not a Woody in the chat on Mr. Woodland. But Mr. Woodland at 9,800 is the talk of the town, which we'll see here in ownership projections in a minute. But yeah, the easiest, at least when I first looked at the pricing, and this isn't really a lot different than the podcast. We touched on this, but like those top 3 guys, I'm not interested in playing. I mean, Brooks is priced pretty well, but I have doubts on. I think he could play really well. I was talking to someone earlier. He might just be a bet it and leave him out of DFS. But Adam Scott and Sergio I like a ton. Gary Woodland I liked a ton on Monday. You kind of led me on to Webb. I like Webb quite a bit. Cameron Smith I like a lot. And so in one cash lineup, it's very tough to leave, if you're $100, $200, $300 short from moving up a guy. It's a really tough decision to make between those people. Obviously, Gary Woodland and Adam Scott are a little bit above Cameron Smith. So, I mean, I wouldn't try to stretch it to, or if I had a little bit of salary, I would try to get those guys. But yeah, man, the top range there in my cash lineup, I'm really debating those 4, whether I'm starting with 2 or I just do 1 and jump down to Billy Ho and, I hate to say it, Luke List, man. So
okay.
You have any thoughts up there? Do you make a decision on the top side?
You're gonna probably laugh at me.
Then we don't want to talk about it.
But as much as I was on JT, and I'm not off of him because of the reasons that you're coming off of him. It solely 100% will be the savings and ownership play, because I think I saw him projected, if not at 30, is I will see it in a little bit, but 30%, and like you said, you can get Scott, Garcia, Woodland, Simpson, or double up down there.
Yeah.
What I told you earlier was after talking on the podcast, I had started making some lineups with JT, and just did not feel comfortable at all with the low plays.
Yeah.
So I'd love to play him, and if he wins, then good for him. But I feel a lot more comfortable with starting out. Even Ricky. I think Ricky's going to go low owned compared to Sergio.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he's so expensive. I mean, I would love to play Ricky if he was around that Adam Scott Sergio price, but I mean, it doesn't sound like much. But 11.2 for him, I would almost feel like I should just pay up for JT. And we can look at ownerships here in a second. Like, there's a point for me, at least in my mind, like if Ricky's, I wasn't planning on playing him anyways, but like if he was going to be really low owned, then okay, maybe I can, throw in a few GBPs with him because it's just stupid. But I think that guys will kind of bounce around with JT and maybe leave Ricky out. I'm not sure. But in the chat, you guys talking about Griot. It is an expensive price on Griot. He played well here last year. He actually gained strokes putting, believe it or not. Ball striking's been there. Like, he's definitely been consistent for a while. And the price gets me. Like, if he was 8,200, I would love it. 8,900, I just feel like he's so close to Billy Ho. And, again, I hate to say it, but Luke List. But, yeah, I think I'm definitely going to put Griot in some GBPs. But in my top 2 or 3 teams, he won't make the cut just because of the price alone.
This is Griot?
Griot, yeah. I mean, he's a ball striker. Again, like we talked about Poa versus Bermuda. Bermuda's, I've grown up on Bermuda, but I still don't consider Bermuda a hard surface. Poa is an inconsistent surface. And if you're not mentally prepared for terrible bounces, you're going to have a tough go. So I really don't mind Griot. It's just the price has drawn me off of him. So I don't think he's a bad play. It's just the price.
Okay.
All right, you ready to move into some ownership projections?
Yeah, I'm really curious on a couple guys.
Man, I always forget to do our host slides. It's like I spent like 2 hours on these things. That's me. And then that's Jacob. Now we're back. Every time we finish the show, I look at that and I don't know what to do. So, all right, let's pull up some finisher numbers. What do you got?
Yeah. No, I was saying you're like, there they are. Completely forgot them again.
I know. Might as well put it in there now. And I should say, like, we repost this on, obviously it comes up on Twitch, and then we repost it on YouTube. You'd be surprised how many people watch it on YouTube, which we're grateful for. But if you are watching this on YouTube, you can actually see the entire chat transcript if you watch it on Twitch versus YouTube. We're just, talking about random people in a chat that you can't see what the actual questions are. So I would encourage you, if you are viewing it on YouTube, to check us out on Twitch. You can watch the replay. If you want to watch us live, it's even better. So Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. So let's hop into some fan share numbers. All right, man. Let's start from the top. I think there's some obviously highly projected guys like JT and them, but let's move it down. I'm going to show the guys in the 7K that are popping up. And just do the best you can and monitor.
Yeah.
Vlad
I got you.
over here. Kokrak over Molinax. Molinax isn't a great play, but Kokrak, he's going to be my hard pivot. off
Yeah,
of.
Drew is anti-Kokrak.
I'm anti-Kokrak this week,
Just
man.
know that.
Sorry, guys. So looking at the top of the board, Sergio is actually coming in pretty high, 24.2 over JT. I actually thought Woodland would be a bit higher than any of those guys. I thought he would probably be number 1 or number 2. He's up there. He's at 21%. But I think people like have a mental like incapacity to roster a 9K guy as their first player. Like every time we start a podcast or anyone else starts a podcast, you're immediately drawn to like the highest priced guy. And usually it's like JT or DJ. And then just mentally you're like, well, you know, it's like if you go to a store and you want to buy something, you know, if you're not trying to get something cheap, you think the most expensive thing. And you guys are joking about Teslas, but we all think Teslas are great because they're expensive. And they probably are nice, but it's very hard for people to start lineups in like the 9K range. It's a weird mental thing. So I think that's why Gary's a little bit lower. If he was actually more expensive, I think he would probably be higher, as crazy as that sounds. So count that as a hot take, I guess. Going down the list, so yeah, the top 5, Sergio, Justin Thomas, Webb Simpson, Gary Woodland, and Adam Scott, all over 20%. Going down the list is where it gets interesting. Russell Knox, 19.6%. CT Pan, 17%. Glover, 17%. McDowell, and then our favorite boy, Michael Thompson, 15.7.
Man,
so
these ownerships are frustrating.
They are. So there's some of these, like CT Pan is interesting. Like if you care to be somewhat contrarian, it's tough because they're both priced the same, but like Russell Knox and CT Pan. But like Michael Thompson, I got word from Andrew from Fanshare. He was projected at 20% earlier, and I don't know if this will pull it up. We'll try it. But
he's already gone down that much?
So they bumped his ownership down because historically he's never been a very popular player as far as ownership goes. So I don't know if we can look at 20. We'll just look at the last 10 events. I guess that'll work. So yeah, DK ownership. I mean, it makes sense, like, right? If he's playing better, his ownership's going to go up. But like all of this is under 7.5%. So I think 20% they might see as a stretch. So I kind of like where they're at. I think 15% will be the number. And I told Andrew I could see it going lower just because it seems like people are scared to play him. Like the sentiment this week has been positive, but a negative ownership sentiment, or like, oh, he's going to be a chalk bomb. So I actually think he'll be lower than 15.7%, which is what they have him at. So I really don't mind that number.
Yeah, MCCC in the chat, still in for Fratelli. That is a resounding yes.
Hump Bumgarner, welcome, man. Good job with the Ben Coley thing. I know Jacob really liked it. Who doesn't like a little Ben Coley action? And no, I do not do the jogging bras dance, but you can find that on the Twitch homepage, I'm sure. They make a lot of money. They make a ton of money. They've won milli makers off of Twitch donations from this stuff. Crazy,
yeah,
man.
just type in ASDL or ASDR. What is that?
ASMR, I think.
ASMR, yeah. You'll find what you're looking for, Hump.
ASL is from AOL Instant Messenger, dude. What are you talking about? Age, sex, location. You got to find out those 3 things right off the bat. Like if you're IMing with Hump Bumgarner right now, you would say ASL because you don't know if it's a dude down in West Palm Beach or Naples.
That was so long ago. I've forgotten everything.
All right, let's hit some ownerships for these people in chat. But Hump,
what's
welcome,
Fratelli's
man. Good
ownership?
job. All right, Fratelli. Let's check it out.
4%. That's my guess.
Yeah, 5%, 4.8. I mean, I do like Fratelli this week. You gotta love him on these type of tracks, I would think. Yeah, the Warden, HV3 and Kokrak have terrible course history, but both playing pretty damn well. Yeah, Kokrak though has played well in the past and still not played well here, so I feel like that's more telling than HV3. I actually don't mind Varner this week. Work a cut, blasting the Teslas. All right, So going down the list, Neiman. That's a good one. Let's check out Neiman. Please be under like 8, maybe 6. Dang it.
What's he at?
They say 12. I find that a little bit of a stretch. They do a really good job, but I feel like he's got to be under 10, man. Going down the list, Sam Burns. Any Burns love from you, man?
Yeah, I mentioned him this morning in Slack and almost got scolded. So I'm surprised that you're bringing him up here.
It was a trap.
I don't mind Burns. I think if you're doing 20 lineups, I don't think he's single entry at all. But
for sure, yeah. Don't go off his finish just last year. I mean, he gained strokes putting, which is fine, but
yeah,
as a whole, he's definitely. I don't see him as a single entry type of player. Let's peek at Kokrak. Did we look at Kokrak?
No, not yet.
Oh boy, what's happening? I see Kokrak and Els in here, just trying to catch up, and GMAC. Kokrak at 13.6. Really not that high, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up there, but he's 7,300. If people like him, I wouldn't think that would
Check
scare
Piercy.
people. Piercy? Wasn't he like 18 or 15? 15.5.
15, I think.
15.5.
15, that's not bad.
Nope.
That's not bad. M was at 14 for chat.
Yeah, I'll look at him up. So Neiman over GMAC, I don't think it's Neiman over GMAC. I actually like McDowell a lot. I just think Neiman's a good play by himself, and I didn't hear a lot of people chatter about him, so he was more or less just a play on my own, hoping he would be under own. You could play both. Yeah, I'm super high up in this, man. So M was one of them. Go ahead and just lay up the ones that
Kiradek. Oh, Benny on. Check Ben on.
Okay. Sung JM 14.7. I think I saw that in the chat. Young Hoon 8.6%. Ooh.
Oh wow.
Well, I'm gonna look at what Burger is. Sorry guys, we gotta check Burgers out. 6.7%. And he won on a golf course, not quite like this, but that golf course at the St. Jude, it's like this.
Yeah, no, it is. It is.
So,
Vlad Cook is going to be probably sub 5%.
Yeah, I'm way up here, man. Trying to make it back. Worker cuts high on hump. It's great. It's great. We'll look at GMAC.
Well, I think I saw 17 on GMAC.
Did you?
I think so.
Oh, it's McDowell. You think I should be able to spell the players' names that I'm going to be searching in DraftKings? 16.5%.
Cam Smith coming up a lot.
Smith. We got 8.8%. And
oh, that is...
Yeah.
That's good.
Cam Smith. Shank at all? Higgins, yes, I am going to be playing Mr. Shank. He's at 3.5%, 6,900. He's actually been playing really well, so I think this is a good track for him. Els, I did see that. Sorry about that, Digo. 1.1% for Mr. Ernie Els. It's not anything I'm gonna do, but all right.
You got Jedlo asking about Kiradesh. Yep.
Kiradesh. All right. We got 8.4%. I'm out on Kiradesh this week. I know a lot of people have talked him up this week. Fantasy Jesus was trying to talk to me about some Kiradesh, but I think his numbers were long enough to bet. I think they're like 66 to 1 or 70 to 1, which I can get. I mean, he played okay last week. He played pretty well, but yeah, I'm out on Kiradesh this week. 8.4%. I was hoping he'd be a little bit higher. Adam Scott. I think we just looked at him. He's like 20%.
22, I think.
20.2, yeah.
20.2.
All right. I finally caught up. Cortland Sutton. He'll be about probably just under 1%, huh?
Yeah, sub 1. I like that. That's a good play.
Fowler. We didn't look at Fowler, did we?
Yeah, Duke Koepka too. I saw him go up there.
Fowler, 14%. I tell you, man, people have a mental thing about playing the expensive guys. And I think Ricky Fowler's a good play, but
that's
the price draws me away.
Yeah, that's higher than I thought that he would be.
I did too. Be interesting. What if everyone just goes away from the 10K plus and just starts with let's just say Sergio is correct, but then Woody is actually, top 2 or 3. And like JT, Ricky, and Brooks are all, sub 8, sub 10.
Check Brooks.
Maybe sub 12.
I would play Brooks if he's 11%. What's he at?
You already looked. 10.6. Sink. I see Papa Wolf asked about Sink, or he's Koepka and Sink.
Yeah, he asked about Koepka and Sink.
Sink at 10%, man. And Furyk. We talked about Furyk earlier. I'm actually curious to see if people are really playing Furyk. Not really. 8%.
You're just curious to see if you move the needle.
I know. Selfish. Course correction for Barn. Need to see one more week from Barn Rat. Yep, I'm in the same boat, Vlad. I think that's Jamie, actually, but it's easy for me to just say whatever name pops up. Barn Rat going to be chalky? We just looked him up, man. Morgan Hoffman. So on Morgan Hoffman, for those of you probably do know, and this isn't like to deter you from playing him. I don't think he's a really good play this week, and but you're welcome to play him. But Morgan Hoffman has muscular dystrophy. He's been struggling for like 2 years now, trying to just, be able to swing a golf club. So I am rooting for him, but I don't think it's worth wasting a lineup on. I mean, he's 6,300. He's 0.1%. I mean, my perspective, man, you're not missing out on a lot, and I don't think he's back to what he was by any means. So it's a sad story for sure, but we talked to someone else in chat today about that, and rooting for him for sure. Hopefully he can recover. Griot is 11.7. I don't know if we pulled him up, but that's pretty low. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
I'm chatting, man.
It's good. It's good. Cheka? Is he even on the field? I think he is. Alex Cheka. 0.2%. Have fun with that one, Orange Man.
0.2.
I'm slowly catching up in the chat, but I gotta throw in a few of mine that I'm curious with.
You're good.
Freddie Jakobsen, 2.1%. You can call it moving the needle. I don't know.
What's Vaughn Taylor? Or wait, is that Nick Taylor or Vaughn Taylor, Trey?
Both showed up in our optimals.
That's true. Vaughn Taylor, I think, was the one popping.
Or sorry, not both. Sorry, Nick Taylor showed up in mine. Vaughn Taylor showed up in the fantasy golf bag
optimizer.
Optimal. Yeah. So 6.9% Vaughn Taylor. He looks like he's, a good enough ball striker here. The same with Chris Kirk. I thought Chris Kirk would have better course history here. And you can't quote me on what he did have, but if I remember correctly when I looked it up, it wasn't good. Yeah, his recent form is definitely not good. He had his best finish as a 12th 5 years ago. Finished 33rd last year. But I feel like he would be the kind of ball striker that would play well here, right?
Yeah. Apparently for sure.
Max
What
Homa.
Give me Billy Hose after Homa.
All right, good call. Max Homa, 1.1%. I know Workacut's a big fan. I'm sure there's a lot of fans. He's a cool kid. Austin Cook, and then you said Billy Ho?
Yeah.
Tim G, 375. Austin Cook is at 5%, 4.8%. And then Mr. Billy Ho, be sub 15.
He's what?
Oh, wow. Take a stab at it.
7%.
Yeah, 7.5%. Are you looking?
No, I'm behind on seeing it.
Doesn't that sound stupid low though for him? I feel like everyone's talked about him. Maybe he's in the build, like he's passed over because of the Woodland Sergio builds. So I think that's where a black hole is going to fall this week, is guys in that mid tier. Cameron Smith on down, because I think Webb Simpson will get ownership. He was top 3 or 4, I think, when we just looked at the projected ownerships. But I think like Cam Smith on down to, we'll say Griot, because it looked like Lucas Glover had some love. But yeah, man, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I know. Billy Ho at 7% is crazy. I would.
Yeah. Zach Johnson. Come on, Jake, where you at?
I might create another lineup to play Ricky and Billy Ho.
Zach Johnson's at 13%, and I'm just not going to play Zach Johnson on a course where, even if you think he seems to play well, and it's Bermuda, I just don't know.
Yeah, what's next up? We're going Molinax and then Poston.
Okay. Molinax, Poston, I see Colley in there. Diaz. Oh, man. I'm not going to do any more selfish lookups. Molinax, 8%. Molinax, 8%. Poston, 6.4%.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's not bad. He's been really consistent.
Really, really, really consistent.
All right, keep me on point here.
Yeah, Diaz next, then Damon.
I took I typed in Buddy Colley. Bud Colley, 3.5%. Diaz, he's got to be like sub 2.
Yeah,
he's 1.1.
And then Damon, and you'll be up to date.
Damon, you got it. 2% for Mr. Joel Damon. So interesting pivots there. If you're gonna play GBPs and take a stance somewhere, like Joel Damon 7,900 just sounds crazy, but he's 2%. You got CT Pan and Russell Knox just below him. That's almost 20%. So Landry. Let's see here. Webb for one and done, huh? I haven't figured out my one and done yet. Interesting. We'll do Hadley.
Beauregard, Furyk.
Okay. Hadley at 5%. He's poised for a nice bounce back after last year. Just saying. And he's not
Hadley?
Yeah. After
he's been off for a while. He's had a few weeks break too. He's a North Carolina boy.
Yeah, man. Bermuda. I mean, I guess it depends on what part of North Carolina, but let's see here. Am I missing anyone? I thought I just saw somebody. Landry, right? Or did we already look Landry up?
Lebioda.
I can't type. Landry. 0.4%. Dude, I'm digging. I don't know who laid out that call earlier, but I wrote down 3 names. Kyung-Hoon Lee was the other one, actually. I put down Landry.
Yeah. You need to sell me on some Landry real quick. What's your interest with him?
Me?
Yeah.
Someone else in chat did it. I just said I liked the call and I'm going to look into it.
All right, well.
He finished second here, right?
Did he?
Sorry. Second, 5 years ago. Miscut last year.
Landry?
Yes, sir.
All I see is a miscut last year.
Okay. 5 years ago, he finished second.
Okay.
Can't lie about his finish, man.
I'm just saying it's not on the sheet I'm looking at.
Okay. It happened.
All right.
Maybe it's a typo. I don't know. Furyk Sink.
Sink's 10%.
Vlad, are you playing Roberto Diaz, man? If he's playing it, Jamie's playing. Oh boy, someone's getting booted out of chat. Luke Burgess. Oh,
Uh,
Weber Harmon? Dude, please don't play Harmon.
Orange about to get booted.
Is he doing it now?
Yeah, spamming symbols. Let's do some giveaways, man.
Let's do some giveaways. Yeah, I'm trying to read. Oh, I see Lucas Glover from Bar Down. I'll look at him real quick, and then I caught up. One Harmon lineup. You know what, man?
Yeah.
I'll build one Harmon lineup. Is the $5 full yet?
No,
It's not full.
I don't think so.
All right, dude. This chat is out of control. I'm gonna have to Nightbot's gonna need to.
You need to up the
I
sensitivity.
do. Up the sensitivity. All right, let me pull up the giveaway thing real quick.
Do Glover first.
All right, I'll do Glover. I'll speak it. I'm not gonna show you.
All right.
So you just have to trust me. Glover at 17.2%. 9 out of the last 10 made cuts. Pretty good. Pretty good. All right.
Nick wants to know where you saw Landry finish second. He also doesn't believe you.
Oh, God. 1 second.
Don't botch it.
What was this tournament called back in the day? Was it still the Honda?
Yeah.
What if
It's
I got
been
mixed up with some other sheet?
It's
It was the Honda.
Hoffman was second 2 years ago. 5 years ago was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What year was that?
Knox got second 5 years ago.
All right, guys, you can yell at Smart Golf Bets. It says Landry, man. It says Landry finished second, so
I don't know what sheet you're looking at.
thank you, Nick. You know what that means? Landry's off the list. That was the only thing that had my interest was that green 2 off the list. Oh, and Kyung Hoon Lee real quick before we do the spin, because that was one that I wrote down. Oh boy, how do you spell that? He'll probably will finish second. I'm gonna have to bet him. He's got to be long odds. Bet him for a top 10. All right, I don't know how to spell Kyung Hoon Lee. You can see how much Lee. Oh, it's literally K Young. He's like a rapper. K Young who? Nope, that's not it either. Oh, it's Hoon, Hoon. He's 1.2%. Kyung Hoon Lee. All right.
All right, giveaways.
Giveaways. You ready to do something?
Yeah.
We did get some new polos in.
I
shout
saw
out to Chris
that.
Ferreter if he's in the chat. His company, Sobe Promotions, hooked us up. This is one, I think, Under Armour. Then we got a couple other ones I posted on Instagram. But let's go ahead and give something away. We'll just do 2. Try to hit a polo. I do need to enter that FGB hat. We'll do an FGB hat with whatever this is. So it'll be a 2-for-1. 2-for-1.
2 for 1. There's a polo and a hat.
All right, so 2 hats. People are getting 2 hats. Just kidding. FGB hat and something else. Thanks, Jedlo. It's a pretty nice shirt. OG FGB t-shirt. Yeah, man, you're going to get a 2-for-1 right now. FGB hat and an OG t-shirt. The keyword to enter is... Should I do Kyung Hoon Lee?
Oh. You should do Tesla.
Sorry, I already typed it in. The keyword is Landry. Vlad, jump in the gun on Harmon. Warden, just type in Landry in the chat and you'll be entered for the giveaway. We'll spin the wheel. People win, especially if you donate. H3 Boot is very good at donating the right amount to win putters and hybrids.
Yeah, it's become an art for him. Really impressive.
It has been very good for him. I mean, he makes plenty in DFS. I mean, you hate to see him just donate it to us, right?
Yeah,
Could
no,
go to
not
worse
really.
places.
He could keep doing it. I
All
wouldn't
right.
mind.
5 seconds. We'll run it, and then we'll do another one. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Finley, 305. Finley 305 didn't win the giveaway.
Did or did not?
Did.
What are you losing it over there over?
Finley's my wife.
Are you for real?
Yeah, her name's not Finley, but that's her username. So, all right, this is rigged. You're right.
Rigged.
But I'm honest about it. So again, FGB hat, OG T-shirt, Tesla.
Oh wow.
Tesla is the keyword. Let's do this one more time. Sorry, my wife was trying to steal my hats and shirts away. Tesla.
Wow.
And then we'll do another one for real. She's upset.
High integrity level going on here.
I actually get a kick out of shipping things at the USPS store. So if she won, I can't go to the post service and see the old lady.
That's true.
It can't say Finley again. It cannot. All right. 3, 2, 1. Not Finley. Walder World. Walder World. That name sounds familiar. Maybe they won before. All right. We'll do 2 actually. Can't be 2 shirts, but if it's like a hat right off the bat or golf balls, we'll do another with it. So, here we go. Oh, we are perfectly on time this time. Another T-shirt. We'll do a regular T-shirt this time. Actually, I think we only have like a few larges left of the OG T-shirt. So we'll do a regular FGB T-shirt and
What you got?
And all right. You guys want golf balls or you want a hat? Hat. We'll do a hat. If you play golf though, and you guys win this next one, I'll give you a sleeve of Titleist Pro V1 golf balls. So, if you win, just let me know if you want some golf balls because you actually play. The keyword is balls.
Clever.
Thanks, man. It's all about marketing. It's very important. Orange Man, it's in the mail, dude. I think I texted you on like Sunday. This chat's gonna get banned. AVX. Orange Man, you'll probably get in like 2 days. And I put a little sticker in there for you. Pretty cool. All right. I'm surprised testicles wasn't banned. What's my chat bot will do all caps. Work account. I didn't know I owed you a hat. That's my bad, man. All right, we'll roll it. 3, 2, 1. Johnny Appleseed wins. Johnny Appleseed, do you want a sleeve of golf balls, man? Do you actually play golf? Not everyone plays golf, but if you do, I'll include it. All right, man. You got any closing remarks? Johnny Appleseed and Walter World, just contact me on Twitter and we'll get that shipped out to you. But Appleseed, if you want T-shirt and a hat and you want some golf balls, let me know. All right. Closing remarks. Lay it on me, Jacob. Anything.
I got nothing, man.
All right. I don't have anything either. I'm looking forward to this week. Obviously, first time playing cash in a while, so I'm excited to get that going. It's definitely a tough field with the pricing, so I'm looking forward to hopefully being somewhat contrarian even in cash. Like I'm picking good players, hashtag good players. But It'll definitely be interesting with some pivots around the 8K range and the $7,800 to $7,500 range. But that's pretty much all I got, guys. I really appreciate you guys tuning in to the Fantasy Golf Bag live stream again. And I appreciate you guys all tuning into the podcast. Those numbers have been going up, so we really appreciate it. So good luck this week. Check us out. We got new Showdown models on the website, so you can now create your own model for Showdown day to day. It's pretty cool, along with all of our other models and tools. But yeah, I think we'll just leave it there. Good luck this week. Good luck at the Honda Classic. The weather looks good. Hopefully you can pick some good players, have some sweats come Sunday afternoon. So, Jacob, thank you so much, man. Everyone out there,
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it. We'll see you next week, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. See ya.
See you guys.